What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a little while since I've done reaction videos. I'm going to tell y'all why the reaction videos have not been up real quick. That is because of the editing or the app that I was using for making reaction videos and doing other stuff. Somehow got turned off, or it just the app just kind of went out. I don't know what happened. I didn't get no notice. I tried to do one when I was like doing them like at the beginning when I first started. But other than that, we are back again. And sorry about my voice right now. Oh, sorry about that. We are back with Goji Center, and we are checking out the evolving of Godzilla's evolved form, or his evolution or something that's going on. It's in the title and everything else. I'm just a little excited to be back on doing these. So let's go and get our headphones on. All right, and 3, 2, 1.
In Godzilla Kong, the New Empire, we witnessed Godzilla's latest evolutionary state. But will the G-Man be able to grow past this? Will he devolve? Will he ever return to his blue state? And most importantly, can he get even more powerful?
Yes, and
Today
yes.
on Goji Center, we'll delve into the evolution of the King of the Monsters, understanding the how and why he had to shift to the next stage of evolution, bringing forth the strongest Titanis Gojira of all time.
Now, I'm gonna pause it right there for a second. Now they did say that Godzilla might go back to his regular form. This is just because of him absorbing Tiamat's radiation and having in that area made his color turn that pink color. But they did say, or else I heard it somewhere, say that his dorsal plates were going to go back to like his regular look. They're not going to change. They're just going to go from pink to where it used to like be the same color as his like regular scales. It's mostly because of the heat and everything. The scales have not like his back plates have not hardened. But I'm gonna get on back to the video. I'm sorry for that little pause.
To not miss any more episodes.
Oh, you don't gotta worry about that, Goji. I'm subscribed and everything. I'm still coming up with your videos.
Gojira Explained. In this episode, we'll cover all of Godzilla's different forms, beginning when we saw him in live action in Apple TV's Monarch Legacy of Monsters. Here, we are taken back in time, prior to the events that happened in 2014. Back to the year 1954 in Bikini Atoll during the Castle Bravo nuclear tests. These so-called tests were actually a way to lure Godzilla into a trap. What was supposed to be the end of the last surviving Gojira specimen would actually mark the beginning of Godzilla's outstanding evolutionary journey.
I still can't believe they
Here,
thought
Godzilla
that worked.
seems very lean, almost young, and nowhere near as bulky as his later appearances. Additionally, we see that his dorsal plates are straighter.
Now, wait a minute. We do know that this is the first Godzilla, how he looked at the beginning of everything, right? So this is what he looked like when he fought Scar King and the other great apes before imprisoning them, and when he fought King Ghidorah the first time. So you got to think about one thing though. If he was under about right here, I think they said he was like 350 or else in 355, like he is in no, I think right here he's actually smaller because of the radiation from that bomb made him grow more for 2014. So he would probably, I don't really know. Hopefully Goji says like how tall this version is.
And jagged in appearance. It's unclear how tall he was during this time period, but he was likely around the 354-foot range, similar to his height in 2014.
Okay, so I paused there a little
Before
bit
we
too
move
soon.
ahead
I'm
to this
sorry,
era,
everybody.
We must first ask the question, was Godzilla always this skinny prior to this moment? Was he always this lean in appearance in the millions of years he's been roaming the planet? Well, probably not. If there's something we do know about the G-Man is that he's been around not only for a very long time, but during many global crises and Titan Wars. That's right, a Godzilla like this would have probably not fared too well against other Titans like Ghidorah or a whole army of great apes. Evidence to support the theory that Godzilla was likely a bit bulkier is the depictions of ancient cave paintings showing Godzilla himself going up against other kaijus like a great ape and Ghidorah. Note how in these depictions,
but he could have still
Godzilla
been
isn't the skinny
about that
lizard
size,
we see in
though.
1954. He's a bit more nourished, to say the least. So what happened? Just like a bodybuilder who takes a year off from working out, or a bear who wakes up after hibernation, there are definitely some consequences of being inactive for a long time.
Yeah,
These
I can agree with
repercussions
that.
come in the form of lost body mass. Maybe he wasn't as tall back then, but likely more bulky. But not enough to take on a certain member of the great ape species. Yeah, if you didn't know, there's actually a record of a hard L handed to Godzilla by this fella. Known as the Rival, this dude was actually strong enough to kick Godzilla out of his house.
Now,
suggesting that at this point in time, the G-Man
Yeah,
wasn't
hang on.
2024 big, but probably...
Now, yes, that great ape. Hang on, let me back it up to where it showed the great ape. Okay, right here. We did know that there was one ape that beat Godzilla, but there is no proof that Godzilla was like fresh and ready for a fight. Because this could have been after King Ghidorah's being frozen, having to fight King Ghidorah and everything, going home, find out, oh, I got thrown out, or after the Great Titan War, and he imprisoned Scar King in them. We don't know. We just know somebody went into his lair and gave him a whooping and sent him on his way. We don't know what state Godzilla was in at that time, though.
was actually strong enough to kick Godzilla out of his house, suggesting that at this point in time, the G-Man wasn't 2024 big,
No.
but probably similar to something like 2014. It's no wonder that Godzilla,
But he
during the
would still
Great
been
Titan
larger
War,
than
resorted
the
to using
Great Ape.
geological
This
means
Kong
to deal
is
with
one of
these
the
apes.
larger
In
ones.
GXK, we learned that instead
we
of
don't know
taking on
about back
Scar
then
King
either.
and his army of apes in hand-to-hand combat, he instead simply trapped them in a giant cave, leaving them at the mercy of Shimo. This ended up backfiring, but the point is that Godzilla was nowhere near as big and strong as he was during the years 2015 and beyond. But after these events and a long nap, Godzilla probably woke up around 1954 a lot skinnier. This nuke would only end up helping Godzilla get stronger, bringing us to the year 2014. At this point,
Yep.
after 60 years, Godzilla would have gained a little more mass, but barely any height. His spines, which are a key indicator of his maturity, were still more or less the same as his form in 1954. The real change between this form and the previous was the amount of mass he carried around. How was it possible that this Titan was able to bulk up? Radiation. At this point, it's really important to note that radiation is everything for Gojiras, with the lack of it only spelling death to those unfortunate to be deprived from it.
Sorry
As
about
was
that.
the case with Dagon, another Gojira specimen with similar proportions to Godzilla in 2014, but lost a fight against the Muto Prime and served as an incubator for the two Mutos seen in 2014. Godzilla would now have the acquired mass necessary to avenge his relative thanks to the atomic bomb. This was a brave new world Godzilla was living in now. Radiation was now easier to acquire and recharging times were exponentially less than before. Instead of taking a nap that could last years next to a radioactive source, Godzilla would just rely on staying near or consuming the energy from any nuclear source. Here, Godzilla was able to take on two Mutos and tank a great amount of damage before defeating them. But at what point would Godzilla end up switching up to the form we see him in King of the
Dude,
Monsters?
sorry.
Well, shortly after the events of 2014, or known as G-Day, Godzilla ended up having a confrontation with the Muto Prime, aka the parent of these two Mutos. After a few skirmishes, their last confrontation ended
Now,
up costing the
wait a
G-Men.
minute. I want to at least say something while he's talking about the Muto Prime. We don't know if that was actually in Godzilla or not Godzilla, in the Monarch series because of the time gap situation when they went into the I forgot what it was called, the middle ground between where we are and the Hollow Earth, that little middle area. We don't know on that because when they went in, it was still 2014. When they came out, it was already, well, I think it was 19 or so when they were brought out. So I mean, we don't know. This could have happened in that little time gap situation too. We don't know, but maybe it has, and we will find that out in season 2 because there is a season 2 of Monarch coming out that we know of. All right, back to the video.
His dorsal plates shattered by the Muto's sonic roar. Fortunately, though, Godzilla was able to grow these back, but they returned looking different. Godzilla had leveled up to the next stage in his evolution. That's right, the next evolutionary stage featured a new shape for his dorsal plates. This shape, though, was not exclusive.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry I paused it, but I just remembered. Forget everything that I just said, because at the beginning of the movie, we see him at the bridge with the regular dorsal plates. Next, we saw him when he comes out of the ground in that desert or sandy area. He has his new dorsal plates. So, I'm sorry, I forgot about that little scene right there. Have not sat down and watched the show in a minute, but yeah, I'm sorry about that. Back to this.
To this Godzilla, this shape marked the next stage in Gojira evolution. We know this because there was another Gojira that also reached these stages. One killed by the great apes and whose dorsal plates were used to create the axes in Kong's throne room. This is our indicator that there were in fact more Gojiras that reached this evolutionary stage back in the day, and Godzilla had just entered this stage. Shortly after, he retreated to Algeria in the Sahara Desert, where the G-Man buried himself for a nap. Here is where Godzilla was able to grow his plates back to this new form. But not only that,
yeah, this is where I was talking about. I'm sorry.
We'll see how tall Godzilla ended up growing up in 2019, but first we must note that at this rate, Godzilla was already beginning to regain mass again. His more muscular arms capable of quickly dispatching titans such as the Ion Dragon, and even though becoming heavier, the G-Man was now able to move faster, his attack maneuvers covering more area in less time.
That dragon right there should have known better.
In 2019. At this point in time, Monarch had finally caught up a little bit with the realization that there were a lot more titans around the world laying dormant, and that Godzilla and Kong weren't the only ones around. One in particular, known as Monster Zero, was the one to look out for. Fortunately, at this point, Godzilla had reached the peak of his next growth spurt, reaching 393 feet in height and gaining more body mass, enough to once again fight titans like Ghidorah. Except this time, Godzilla had unlocked a new evolutionary boundary and was now taller.
Yeah, I was about to say, he
in
got
Godzilla
much
King
larger.
of the Monsters, during a battle in the coast off Isla de Mara, Godzilla and Ghidorah were both caught up by a new man-made weapon known as the Oxygen Destroyer, which ended up greatly weakening Godzilla, almost killing him. Weakened and wounded, Godzilla retreated to the bottom of the sea in a lair he used to call home. Here, the levels of radiation were high, ideal for a very long nap. The problem, though, was that on the top, it would only be a matter of days before Ghidorah completely wiped out life on the surface, and humanity did not have much time. So in response, a team was dispatched to blow a nuke in front of Godzilla to jumpstart him again. After a heroic sacrifice by Serizawa to detonate the nuke right in front of Godzilla's face, Godzilla was quickly able to recover, and this operation ended up working a little too well.
They paid off.
From here on out, Godzilla would have probably breached levels previously unknown to his kind. Thanks to modern-day nuclear breakthroughs and his ability to harness radiation, Godzilla's body nearly reached an equivalent of a nuclear meltdown. We hear this all the time, but what does this actually mean? A nuclear meltdown, by definition, is when the inside of a nuclear reactor gets so hot that it causes the fuel to melt. This can lead to dangerous situations where harmful radiation might be released, or in Godzilla's case, explode and die. Why did this happen to the G-Man? Well, let's say his body anatomy wasn't quite ready to handle this much energy yet.
Godzilla's radiation's reaching critical mass. 6 minutes until he blows.
There was one temporary solution to this, however. Through some supernatural phenomenon during her death, Mothra was capable of passing down certain biological properties that helped Godzilla regulate this temperature for a longer time, allowing Godzilla to reach near meltdown levels, but also to cool down during thermonuclear pulses, explaining why we see Mothra's wing pattern every time Godzilla expels one of these blasts. These not only served as an adequate weapon to finally kill Ghidorah, but also as an important means to cool down Godzilla. Using 3 powerful pulses, Godzilla was finally able to cool down to more manageable levels. Many confuse this thermonuclear form with a state that Godzilla can reach at will, but no, reaching this state is actually pretty dangerous for the G-Man and those around him. After Serizawa's sacrifice, Godzilla had gained more mass during his recovery, recharged him with energy, and prepared him for his next task, establishing order around the planet. It would be a few years until we see Godzilla's next evolutionary phase, but shortly after King of the Monsters, Godzilla would find time to properly break in his new improved suit, fighting all sorts of titans on both land and sea, and over time becoming more agile. During the events of the graphic novel Godzilla Dominion, we see Godzilla's upper body strength drastically improve, capable of throwing titans around like ragdolls, swimming faster, and subjugating other kaijus in a short amount of time. Even going as far as seeking a rematch against the great ape that kicked him out of his house a long time ago, instead coming across and barely defeating the titan Tiamat, a stronger foe.
What happened?
Come the events of 2024 during Godzilla vs. Kong, we witnessed Godzilla using his upper body strength on Kong, admittedly facing the strongest ape he's ever faced. In this film, we only see a Godzilla who was now used to performing more agile maneuvers. That's as far as his development goes at this point in time. The next stages of evolution will unlock a level that no Titan has ever reached before. 3 years later, after Kong and Godzilla parted ways, Godzilla proved that his fighting skills remained sharp. After easily killing an already charged up Scylla, Godzilla adopted her strategy of absorbing radiation by performing mini raids on nuclear power plants and absorbing radiation and powering up at alarming speeds. This, however, would bring back a problem that he faced in 2019. Remember how his body at this point in time is not capable of storing this much energy. He had pretty much reached a ceiling that could not be surpassed without getting once again near a nuclear meltdown. This irradiated Godzilla would now glow blue, expelling harmful levels of radiation and heat.
Oh yeah, well, I'm gonna just stop right there for a second. If you want to, as y'all know, I do customs and repaints and everything. I have actually repainted Godzilla to be in this stage. If you want to, if you are new to the channel, check that out, and you can have your own blue thermal Godzilla. All right, I'm gonna go back to the video. I just wanted to say that for a second. Sorry. I'm sorry I keep pausing.
In France, Godzilla once again used a pulse to fend off aircraft that were firing missiles at him. But this time it was more than just a pulse. This, ladies and gents, was an EMP. And this comes straight from the official novelization.
I have not
In the
read
real
the
world,
novel.
nuclear explosions can also serve as EMPs as well. An EMP is a burst of electromagnetic radiation that can also occur when a nuclear explosion happens near the Earth's surface or at high altitudes, like 393 feet tall kaiju, for example. These then produce damaging current and voltage surges. New ability unlocked. EMPs are now added to the tally of abilities that Godzilla can wield. But this makes Godzilla realize he needs to solve another problem: energy capacity. If he was to fight a world-ender kaiju like Shimo, the G-Man needed to be able to wield more power safely. The answer would be found in the northmost parts of the planet, the Arctic. In the Monsterverse, the Arctic regions of planet Earth serve as a reservoir housing the largest stockpile of energy in planet Earth, courtesy of the constant bombardment of electromagnetic solar winds. This energy would build up here, taking the form as violet or magenta glowing matter. But
I want to know,
Tiamat
is that
settled
actually
here
true?
first.
If you go there,
Remember
is there
how Tiamat
actually
in
like
Godzilla Dominion lost
purple,
against the G-Man?
lights everywhere?
Well, after that, she
Not
decided
everywhere,
to
but kinda
settle
like in
here.
certain areas.
After Godzilla got a whiff of this, he immediately decided that Tiamat was too dangerous to leave alive at this point, and that this destroyer kaiju needed to die right here. But Godzilla was first actually after this energy. After dispatching Tiamat in a rather brutal fashion,
if she would just swam away,
in the icy
she
caves
would
that
survive.
used
He
to
wouldn't
house
have paid
Tiamat.
no attention
It
to
was
her.
here where the
Probably.
G-Man would
I
go
don't
through
know.
his fastest and most powerful
It's
evolution
like
yet.
they're getting rid
So,
of their
what exactly
new
happened
monsters.
here?
Are we
Upon
going to get
waking
more
up,
new
Godzilla
monsters?
would
Is my
immediately
question.
be noticeably different. The book mentions that Godzilla did not only absorb this new energy, but also went as far as absorbing some of Tiamat's biological makeup, possibly her DNA.
Yeah.
This is reflected by
You look,
Godzilla's more spiky
she had
appearance,
elbow
Thagomizer on its
forearms,
tail, elbow spikes, and
spikes
leaner
too.
build, especially around the waist. Godzilla's dorsal plates, again an indicator of his evolutionary stage, were also going to be different.
He could have went down a little bit
Translucent
more
this
into
time,
that,
glowing in the violet magenta coloration
into
as
the
well.
water, but
Godzilla's
that
appearance
time
now
his
was
mom
not
was
the most
settled, what
important
the-
part of this new evolution. It was his new molecular density. Why is this important? Molecular density basically refers to the amount of molecules that take up a specific area. If an area, for example, is full of atomic energy storing elements, then we can store more power. Now it's all coming together. Godzilla literally evolved to be able to store more radiation, 20 times more. Now, there's a common misconception that this means 20 times more powerful. There's actually a big difference. Godzilla's new evolution made him capable of storing more energy this time, not energy that's 20 times as powerful. But this Godzilla was certainly stronger and capable of better firepower this time. Being a higher molecular density in this case should suggest that Godzilla would have been heavier. At least he should. This is not confirmed. So, what is the end result? Now Godzilla won't have to worry about going through a nuclear meltdown anymore. He can now contain much more energy. And this time he can actually reach a state similar to a supercharged state.
Oh yeah,
at
because if you
will,
notice
reducing energy and atomic blasts that
when he charges up in the movie, like after he got in this new evolution form, his body just had so much radiation coming out of it, like out of his eyes and everything, a lot more than what he had in his blue form. As in this form, when he charged up, you actually saw like the light coming, or the steam. I want to say steam or the yeah, it's about the steam or the radiation coming from his eyes, his body, everything. You just saw like the heat wave coming off of him while he's in that form, when he's charging up and everything. I think he's about to say that, but I could be wrong.
can cut through millions of tons of pyramid stone like it was paper, hurling world-ending kaijus like Shimo for very, very long distances, and most notably, ending an entire world-ending event like an ice age with just one blast. One may say, well, this guy is now too powerful, and this is a valid point. At this level, there are very few things that can stand up to the G-Man that we know of right now. So now this begs the question, have we seen the end of Godzilla's evolution? The answer, very likely not. Or how else are these guys gonna keep selling figures and toys? Just kidding. Besides that, the evolution of Godzilla has revealed the fact that the G-Man is capable of using just about any source of energy to better suit his and the planet's needs. Who knows what other sources of energy there are around the planet, and what type of energy can be found in the hollow Earth. It's possible that if Godzilla doesn't come back to replenish this pink energy after a while, then it may begin to wear off, causing his coloration to slowly but surely return to his classic blue form while maintaining his more scaly and sharp features.
Yeah, that's
his
like what
molecular
they,
density,
I think
however,
I heard,
might
or
actually
they
be here to
said that
stay,
he was
turning
gonna
him
go
into
back.
a vessel that can contain many types of energy. The number one trait that allowed the G-Man to live this long is his capability to adapt and evolve fast. Having said this, we haven't seen the last of Godzilla's evolution, and he may actually become even stronger against the ultimate threat.
All right. Do that. But yeah, well, how did y'all enjoy the video? 'Cause I learned so much more and everything else. But I hope everybody enjoyed the video. But I'm going to go end the video here. I hope to see everybody next time.